Hey guys, in my last video I showcased an infinite draw combo that I come up with, and now I'm just going to elaborate on it, explain how you might win the game off of that, and what else you might include if you wanted to put a deck around it. But first of all, I would like to thank Mike Herbert for reminding me that the old no-no exists, and I'd also Sam Riley for not only putting Mog on my mind, but also discovering the combo himself independently of me, which I didn't know about. He kept it a secret because he was considering using it at an event, but when I posted it in Echo Chamber, he messaged me being like, oh, I've been playing around with that combo myself, and I was like, but he's a really good player and a really good deck builder, so that's like really cool that he had the same idea. But see the video description for the other video, which has the actual loop. But basically, you got these 4 characters: Rumza, Hope, Mog, and No-No, and any other Moogle, and you can draw your entire deck as long as you like about half of it is wind cards. Obviously, though, it's not enough just to draw your entire deck. And in FFTCG, there's no like burn combo or like Exodia or anything like that, so you have to actually find a way to deal damage to your opponent. Now, I'm sure there are other ways, but there's only one that matters to me. It's just one card you can chuck in with a couple extra cards to support it, and that card is Onion Knight. This card, which is a really silly card, honestly. Now, you can get infinite attacks with this card in this deck. So as long as you clear the way of their 2 costs, play Shemhazai, or just even clear all their forwards anyway, because you have so many cards in your hand, you draw your removal spells, you can just attack infinitely with Onion Knight, so 7 times, and win the game that way. And so I'll show you a short video just demonstrating that. I'm just going to show you infinite attacks with Onion Knight. First thing, we'll need a 4th Moogle. Then Onion Knight. Onion Knight attacks. So that's 1 attack. Then you do the normal combo. So draw 2 of these. Then you do No-No. But this time you get to target 4 because you have 4 Moogles now, so you target all 4, stack Rumza. They'll activate. Then you get to do Onion Knight's ability to bounce itself, play the same Onion Knight, attack with Onion Knight again, and then just repeat that. And just an aside, I know I say infinite a lot, even though it's not strictly infinite, because you do eventually run out of cards in your deck, but it is infinite enough to create a game state that's so unfair that it's impossible to lose, so that's kind of what I mean by infinite. You also notice I keep putting water and ice cards either side. That's because I think those are the 2 options for the other color in the deck. Obviously, majority is wind, but for your second color, I currently prefer ice, which I'll explain, but water is also an option. So we need a bunch of wind cards. These are some of the best ones in my opinion. Moogle is a Moogle, so it's your 4th Moogle for Onion Knight OTK. It can also be a 3rd Moogle if you need it, if you didn't see the other backup. And its effects are just good in this kind of deck, because you kind of draw 2 and block an attack. It defends you while digging for your combo pieces, so it just fits really nicely. Chocobo can give haste to any one of the forwards in the combo, because they all suffer from summoning sickness, and that can kind of hold the combo back a little bit. So Chocobo lets you get it happening faster and also give your opponent less chance to respond to what's going on. Asura, particularly the activate 2 forwards effect, is really good. Obviously, you've got your 3 forwards with their dull abilities, especially Hope and Mog together. Asura just becomes another draw 2 for a 1-mana summon. That's really, really good. Oracle is just another 2-cost backup that fits really nicely, because obviously you need more backups like to actually play the game. Oracle just does everything the deck wants it to do. It can even give you extra mana by activating your backups too, so it just fits really well. Aerith is a bit of a roller coaster. Originally I thought it would be pretty good, then I tried it and I thought it was insane, and then it was pointed out to me that it also blocks your own targeting summons and abilities. So after it's resolved, you won't be able to use No-No or Hope anymore, which is a shame. You do get an extra draw off Mog, and you can start doing your stuff again in your opponent's turn, or just the next turn. But I still think it's good because it protects your combo. Your opponent's obviously going to try and dismantle it, and there's a lot of targeted removal. And it still kind of does what the deck wants. It's also really reliable because of Rumza. So you've got Rumza out. Aerith is basically never down, even if it's tapped. Even if Rumza's tapped, you've got all these other abilities that can activate him, which he can activate Aerith. So it's basically always up, which is really good. The reason I put 2-cost Aerith there, and would rather use that than the legendary Aerith as more copies, is because you can get it back with Asura. Now, this is the reason why I like Ice a lot. Mog is a Moogle for the combo, and it also searches Hope, which is the combo piece. So it's kind of like 2 combo pieces in one. The other reason is Devout, which is any one of your combo pieces, basically, except No-No, obviously. But the fact that it only costs 1 mana to do it in that turn as well, it really helps those turns where you have to kind of push it out, especially with the Haste Chocobo, and also because it gets off-color forwards out, so your Mog and your Rumza. Gastalion searches the Mog, and even if you already have a Mog, it searches another one, so you can discard that to play it, because obviously if you're in Ice, you don't have the water cards lying around to play the Mog easily. And then you've got Zargabath, who also gets out the Rumza and the Mog because they're off color. That helps you get them out. And it also gets out the wind cards too, like Chocobo. So it just fits really nicely. Now, the options for water, you got kind of more of the deep draw stuff with Fairy, just Fairy on Mog is draw 2. Again, that's a draw 2 summon, which is really, really good. And then Una, you've got these summons, these cheap summons that you're using to cycle through. Una just gets you the extra draws out of it. You've still got a Mog Searcher with Merwin, it's a little bit more expensive though. And you've got Gis, who feels a similar role to Zargabath. Now, here's just a couple other cards. Maybe if you don't go all in on the combo, you've got these cards that kind of play with the deck, but also can be used outside of just going for the combo. Bartz especially gives you kind of an alternate win condition. You can kind of relatively easily get out your cheaper forwards, and they all have different jobs, except for Moogle and Mog, but whatever. And he kind of gives you a way to like poke at your opponent, especially if they're sitting behind like an Emperor or something. So they kind of stalemated it. Bartz gives you a way to kind of push when you can't combo properly. And then Valor 4, it's a good way to kind of reset the board if it gets too big. Also, if you play maybe less combo cards and more kind of haste forwards, you've got kind of like a haste theme going on, then you can kind of use that as your finisher. You know, you've drawn a bunch of cards, you can just Valor 4 and then play a bunch of haste guys. That's an option. I've seen some people mess around with that. So yeah, there's just some other maybe options. I'll finish by showing you my current list. Obviously, it's not the be-all, end-all. I haven't tried lots of different lists. I haven't even played this list that much. So, you know, I urge you to try out whatever you want if you want to mess around with this kind of thing. I will say for the record, I don't think a deck like this would be truly competitively viable currently. It's just kind of a little bit too fragile, especially if your opponent knows what's going on, which is funny because I'm making a video about it, which doesn't help with that. But, yeah, it can definitely win, and it can maybe even win some games against certain decks, even when your opponent does know what's going on, because some decks just don't have the tools to efficiently deal with it. But I'm more in love with the concept of it. It really excites me, this kind of, like, infinites and, like, loops and things like that, especially in Final Fantasy, where the game is very well designed, and the cards are very well designed to kind of avoid these kind of situations happening, and so there's really not many of them. So that kind of thing makes me really happy to find out and like explore. So yeah, maybe in the future a deck like this or combos like this will actually be relevant. So yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.